Welcome, everybody, to Spiritual Cafe Sessions with Kim and Nikki. And we are super excited because we have our very first guest, and her name is Jill. Kim's going to give her a quick introduction. She's going to be on for hopefully about a half an hour. I'm super excited to chat with her because I think you guys are going to really love everything that she's about. Right, Kim?
Absolutely. And actually, I know Jill quite well. I think I've known Jill for probably about over 10 years, I guess, by now,
Yeah.
probably even longer. We won't date ourselves. And Jill is actually a reverend at the spiritualist church that I am also a reverend at. So we're going to welcome Reverend Jill Washington. She's an evidential medium, a spiritualist minister, a registered social worker, and mental health therapist who bridges a world of spirit and emotional well being. She has a unique blend of spiritual sensitivity and professional expertise. She offers mediumship readings grounded in compassion, accuracy, and ethical care. A certified sound practitioner and a certified grief educator, Jill is also a dedicated teacher of psychic development workshops, helping others awaken and strengthen their intuitive gifts. She leads tarot card workshops, sound baths, spiritual healing sessions, creating sacred spaces where people can explore their connection to spirit while feeling supported and empowered. Her years of experience as a therapist have given her a trauma informed, client centered approach, ensuring that every reading, healing, or teaching session is safe, respectful, and uplifting. Her own profound spiritual journey, marked by the transformation and deep connection, is featured in the acclaimed book, The Last Breath. Whether guiding someone through grief, offering evidential messages from loved ones in spirit, or teaching others to embrace their own spiritual abilities, Jill's mission is to bring hope, healing, and peace, offering heartfelt evidence that love is eternal and never dies. And we will give you the contact information for Jill at the bottom of the podcast for her contact at St. Bridget's Church at the website. And also, we will provide you with her email address at that time.
Absolutely.
Welcome, Jill.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, Nikki. Thank you, Kim. I'm happy to be here. I'm excited to be here. I am honored to be your first guest.
Oh, she's so sweet. I love her.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful.
Well,
Yeah.
a part of our podcast is to make people feel comfortable, make people feel that they've got proper education, proper information, so that they have a place to turn to where they know they're going to get honest information. We've talked about different things, including scammers and being addicted to getting readings and things like that already. So I thought it would be absolutely perfect to have someone with your amazing skill set and abilities to be able to talk to us about that.
Absolutely.
Okay. Well, I'm like I said, I'm excited to be here. And I think it's going to be important to talk about mental health and mediumship. And how that intertwines together. Because I think this is really important to do and to know if you are a medium and you are seeing clients, those things you need to know. And I think it's important that you have information about what mental health is and mental health issues for clients who come and see you. Because when your clients are coming to see you for a reading, they're vulnerable. They are, there's things that have gone on in their lives, usually a loss. Now, usually it's about a loss of a loved one who's crossed over, but it could be for their own need as well. We could do like the psychic readings where they've lost a home or a job or even a relationship breakdown, and they're coming to you for insight, for direction, for healing, all of those things that to come to a medium for. So you really do have a lot of responsibility as
Yeah.
a medium. And we
It's
have,
also very important from what you're saying is grief comes in many ways. People, it's not just because someone passes away. You can have grief from any of those things with a relationship
Yeah.
breakdown or anything that changes your world or changes anything in your life. There's that, grief is happening. And I think too many people just only associate it with whether or not someone passes away.
Exactly, exactly. And I think um, that's something we have to remember, because when people are coming to you, they're wanting, especially if they're, relationship issues, or, job losses, those kinds of things. There is there's almost a bit of a desperation, like wanting a need to know, and they come to you because they want that direction. The other one is when people come to you to connect with their loved ones who've crossed. Maybe they could be grieving, and it could be grieving for years, and they haven't been able to move from that loss. And so what happens is that we call that complicated grief, and that they're just sort of hanging on for everything, and they're just looking for something. So again, we do have a big responsibility. And I think as a medium, we need to really be clear and have a disclaimer on our websites, and when we're booking clients, or on some kind of a form that you have filled out, because I think it's important for clients to understand that you are not a therapist, unless you are. But I,
Unless you are like you.
yes, but that's a different role, right? So there's two
Yeah.
different
Yeah.
roles, right? So as a medium, you're wanting to support, help them with their healing and connecting with their loved one who's crossed. And then as a therapist, you're going to want them to deal with the things to help
Yeah.
them transition from their grief. So, so we have to be really clear when we give that information to the client. Okay, the sitter who comes to you, and we have to let them know that we're not therapists, that we are mediums. The other thing that we have to be really careful about is, um, for legal obligation stuff, is that this is for entertainment only. However, we know as a medium, um, as an evidential medium, we know that the what comes through, we know that there is their loved ones, but we just, for our own liability, we have to make sure that is on there as well.
Do you can you talk a little bit about being a sitter coming in with the grief, and what, is kind of needed for them to manage or have a reading? What kind of
Yeah.
things that would be a concern for them?
Yeah. So yeah, it's a good question, Kim. Thank you. So there's a lots of different things that we have to be aware of. First of all, um, for the grief, people come in, for people who have crossed over. There's going to be like a need to connect, and so there's clients that are come in. It's like, okay, I'd love to hear from my loved one. I want to know how they're doing. Da da da. But there's the ones that are saying, I need to connect. They got that intensity, that need, and so what happens is that um, it's about them. I think what happens for them is that there's a need to be with them, to want to connect with them. And you're going to find that it's going to happen because they're going to keep coming back. They're going to
Okay.
want to keep coming back. And we have to be really careful about those things, because we really need to have boundaries for the clients that
Yes.
are coming through like that, because now we're doing them a disservice as opposed to a service, right? Because we're not helping them the healing process. We're just kind of reinforcing their urgency or that need. And the other thing we have to be careful of is about, what are they saying in those sessions when the sitter comes? Like when we connect with the loved one, they say, I want to be with them. How can I, there must be a way, or I'm desperate. Those are red flags that, as a mediums, we have to be aware of, that this is a concern, like a mental health concern, because now there's grief, like I said, but now it becomes complicated grief. Now it becomes a grief where that's when they actually need the help. They need support, where they need to have direction. And then also, as a medium, ideally it'd be good to have a resource of the supports that you have in your community. Also to tell them about, the like in Canada, we have the 988 line for
Hmm.
suicide ideation. And some of those things too, you might hear that. You might hear them say, like, I want to be with them. Like,
Yeah.
I get to, and so you're gonna pick up those little nuggets from those clients, and those
Hmm.
are the red flags. And the other thing is about, the clients that come in that are just overwhelmed with distress.
Hmm.
Mhm.
What we want to do is we want to provide an environment that they're going to feel safe in, but we also want to make sure that they're not overwhelmed and crying
Right.
excessively. So those are also red flags that the client needs more than what we can provide, right?
Mhm.
And so those are the things they can get. Sometimes too, the other thing that can happen is that they may be angry. They may be angry about maybe the loss, how they died, how their loved
Mm.
one died. They may be angry because there was no closure in
Yeah.
their time with them here. And so we really want to make sure that it's done in a way that they can calm them down and provide some insight from their loved ones. And maybe sometimes all they need to hear is that their loved one is coming through to say they're sorry. And that might be enough, but sometimes it's not.
Yeah.
Again, when they're still carrying that anger, again, have a directory that you have close by and encourage and support and just give them that information that maybe this is something they'd want to look into, right? Especially if they're still having those emotions that they're not able
Mhm.
to let go of. So those are really things to be aware of. I said the other one too is like when people keep coming back, not just because about losing a loved one, they want the connection, but they want answers in their life. They keep coming back. So there's like a dependency that happens, right? Then they come that codependency. If there's maybe you have a tendency for that. So they're coming to you and they want you to tell them everything about their lives, right?
Yeah.
And then as we can't do that as mediums
Mm.
because we encourage, I mean, we want people to do things, find their own paths, their own ways, learn their own lessons. All we can do is provide information that we get from their psychically from them, from their auras, for their energy. And also too, the other thing to remember is that when we're doing these readings, that they're connecting with where they are in that moment, right?
Mhm.
What's going on in their lives, we'll be picking some of those things up. I know I had a woman that came through and she was really looking for direction in her life about, moving, right? I could give her some information about what I was getting about her moving somewhere, but uh, she was like, but then she comes back again, is like, wants more, like, where is it? Where am I going to
Right.
move? Like,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah, it's like,
oh,
give me my map to my
yeah,
life,
give
and
me my
you're
map.
saying,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, man, but you gotta find it because I do with it. Um, Jill and I, like, with working together, you find people who, whether it's healing or readings, they will just, like, they will constantly ask, but they will never, allow that to sit within themselves
Right.
to heal or to, do any betterment of themselves
Hmm.
because
Right.
they just want to hear you say the same thing over and over.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. So really needing that validation. So again, we want to make sure that giving them, we have that information to direct them where they need to go. And the whole thing too is we also have to have boundaries for ourselves as mediums. So that's going to be very, very important. And we have to also, like I said, set it up front when you meet with the client in regards to like that disclaimer, what you're going to be doing, but what you can't do. Right? That's going to be
Mhm.
important, and that you do have information to direct them elsewhere should they need it. Right? So making sure that you as a medium have that resource available for the clients that come to you. And so, like I said, boundaries are important. The other thing too, um, the other thing is about like if they say, I want to kill myself. I mean, that in
Mm.
itself right there, that's, I'm missing someone so badly. I want to be with them. I'm going to kill myself. Those are big red flags. And at
Yeah.
that point, it'd be good to stop the reading and kind of connect with them and see what they're really saying.
Right.
Right. Because those can be like big red flags. And want to direct them to the suicide crisis helpline, making sure that they got supports in their life
Hmm.
and who can they connect to.
Now,
So
does that happen quite a lot?
I no, not that I'm aware of, but it doesn't mean it doesn't happen.
Right, right.
Mm.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean it can't happen because when people are in grief, they don't see past it. That life
Yeah.
is not they can't do life.
Yeah.
They're stuck in that. It's almost like a trauma. They're stuck in that moment and they can't move past it. They're in that. They've got the loss and the fear and the longing and the desire, and maybe not sleeping, maybe not eating, and maybe when they come in they don't look well. Right?
Mm.
Those are other little signs that you need to be aware of, like maybe health-wise. Yeah,
Yeah.
they're not taking care of themselves because of the grief of their loss, right? And so
Right.
these are things as mediums we have to be aware of.
Yeah, well, a big thing is people need to understand whether you're a medium or someone coming for a reading, with everything like that that happens to you, um, every loss, you're a different person. You're not going to
Yeah.
the next day be that same person you were the day before that happened. And to expect these things of ourselves, I think, when you don't have that capacity anymore because you're no longer that person, is just it can be too much and can be overwhelming trying to
Yeah.
figure out why can't you do this anymore, and can put you into almost like a state of paralysis or even deeper into grief because you're now thinking you're a failure as well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly, exactly. I mean, and that's the other thing too. If a mom comes in who lost a child,
Oh,
the grief, the guilt that they
Mhm.
could be carrying as well. So those are the things as mediums we really need to be aware of because it just because they look to you,
yeah.
they look to you and they want you to kind of give them some solace, some healing, some answers. But sometimes it's not enough, and sometimes you know. As mediums, and we can connect with their loved ones who have crossed over and provide some validation that they did all their best. We could do that, but they can still be carrying that guilt, right? And then again, we'd really want them to get the help that they need. The other thing that's also important as a medium, we got to take care of our own mental health.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yes, and I think that's a piece that sometimes we forget as mediums, that we have to make sure that we are doing our own mental health check-ins, that we're doing our own self-care. Because sometimes too, when we're dealing with stuff, it gets pretty heavy. We're
Yeah.
human
Yeah.
we're human beings, right?
Yeah.
We have this gift to connect with our loved ones and support people, but we also need to be able to take care of ourselves. So when we're carrying all this stuff, um, n- you know, because some of the things that you hear from the stories that you hear as well is also can be very disheartening, especially, loss of children, how people, some of them are horrific, right? And
Yeah.
so we want to be able to take care of ourselves. So encouraging every medium to make sure that you're doing that self-care. And, if you need to, have debrief with another colleague who is a medium who understands, and just being able to, um, I know it's like doing the cleansing, like cleansing
Mhm.
the energy away from you is important as well. Because we don't
Yeah.
want to, because sometimes if it's really intense, we kind of carry it with us, rest of the day or next to the evening. And we just got to make sure we shake it off because it's not our stuff. We can only provide what we can to our client and give them that support and healing through the message that they get and through their development in regards to the psychic development stuff. And we just encourage people to reinforce that they have the power that they need to move on, to do and trust in themselves. Trusting in themselves is really important as well.
Yeah. It can be so difficult when you have someone who comes in and you can almost feel that pain because you're bringing through their person, and their feelings are kind of all together. And when you get to a point where it gets overwhelming to you, it's almost like you got to try to figure out, like, okay, this isn't mine, this isn't mine, this isn't mine.
Mhm.
But
Mhm.
do you have suggestions or any recommendations of maybe techniques or activities to do to get that to stop, like if you are finding yourself in that position?
So ideally, so a lot of the grounding techniques in regards to the smudging, cleansing, having bath with Epsom salts,
Yeah.
using lavender, doing your own grounding. Sometimes it's going out into like go for a walk, go in nature, just decompress and just and you're going to sense a shift. I mean, as your mediums, you're going to sense that energy. And so when you're able to let that go, I have to share a story then. When I was newly into my mediumship, I had an opportunity. We were doing missing persons, and this person happened to be a child. And again, it was just a new thing for me. And I had this sense of this little child that was with me, and I wasn't quite sure who the missing person was going to be. So when there was a group of us that got together, and then I realized it was this little boy
Oh.
who came through that was a missing person, but there was a missing person, but I kind of knew that he crossed over.
Mm.
So, and unfortunately, I mean, it was with the family as well. So what happened is that the intensity of having that little boy come through and me sensing it and feeling I didn't see exactly how we crossed, but I felt it was intense and it wasn't a very nice crossing. Um, that it stuck with me. And
Wow.
what happened for me, and I still didn't know how to get rid of it, I got very anxious. I was
Wow.
anxious. I was restless. I couldn't settle down. I had problems sleeping. I just didn't feel, I didn't feel my body. I just wasn't right. I didn't know what to do.
Mhm.
And so I had a mentor who I spoke to, and then they helped me um, release that energy, the release to let it go. And soon as I did that, it was gone. And
Wow.
it was just being able to do that, and it was about, actually, I took a bath. I took it, with some Epsom salts, and I did some smudging as well. So and that helped clear the energy for me, which really made a big difference. So, again, those are things to recognize when you're a medium, that these things can happen, especially if you start sensing things that are just really uncomfortable.
Right.
Well, I think also a lot of us being empaths and,
Mhm.
being wanting to support and try to help people, it's so hard to give. I'm not going to say bad information because I know a lot of times we don't like to give out negative information, but in that situation, you have to somehow like break it to a family that their child is no longer with you, things like that. So that just, I think,
Yeah.
really, it just weighs on you and you don't know what to do.
Mm.
Yeah.
It's very
And
difficult.
yeah, and just like wait, I didn't say that the child had crossed over. I didn't tell that to the family. It wasn't my
Mhm.
place to do
But you were
that.
carrying that information,
But I
right?
was
And that's
carrying
Yeah.
that
still very hard.
information. Exactly. 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 So again, those are kinds of things to be aware of. The other thing also is because when people come to you, they themselves might be empaths, right?
Mhm.
And they may themselves not be empaths, but they could be maybe have a mental illness.
Mm.
Mhm.
Seeing people, they're hearing voices, they're so it's really kind of a touchy thing, in regards to because maybe they do have a mental illness, maybe they're bipolar, maybe they got schizophrenia.
Mhm.
Those are things to be aware of, and it's going to be really hard, um, to tell if you're not a mental health therapist.
Yeah.
So again, I think that would be like if they continued on, if they were sort of obsessed with it, there's
Mhm.
obsession about it, um, then those are some red flags as well about those things. And the thing is, like, when people come in and and they themselves have that gift, but they're not really developed yet, they'll say, "Oh, I sense things," or I might have hear a noise or something, but that's one thing, but it's when it gets very intense and they're like, "I'm hearing these voices and someone's, watching me," and they're,
Or they're
I'm
telling them to do
they're
stuff.
Yeah.
paranoia, they're fearful. Those are the things we just have to really be careful about
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah, it's, certainly it's such a beautiful thing that we do,
It
right?
is.
But there's those aspects that can just make it very challenging.
Yeah, and I think too, as a medium, that if you do it in a way that's honorable in regards to yourself and to the client, and by having that disclaimers, um, you also too have actually, if there is some issues a client comes to you, you do have a duty to report those things as
Right.
well. So those are the other things that you must do. But I mean, I've been doing this for many, many years, like over 15 years, and that has not happened for me. Touch wood.
Yeah,
But
Mhm.
it
please.
doesn't say it can't happen to somebody
No.
or can't happen yet. So just really be mindful of those things, because as mediums, what we do give the gift of healing,
Yes.
Mhm.
and that's a beautiful thing. So
Mhm.
being a medium is a great thing, and it's a wonderful service that we do give to people.
Mhm.
Well, it's
So
definitely, I find it being one of the most rewarding things I've ever done, um, and yeah, I love it, but
yeah.
it's just to watch these people. And another thing too, we have, when people are coming into like our spiritualist church or coming for readings
Mhm.
or coming to sit in circle, uh, we kind of have to keep an eye on ones who might have some kind of a mental illness that could either disrupt the group or, cause some kind of issues. And not everybody is really our supporter. There can be people who can come in that aren't your
Mhm.
supporter and are trying to derail you,
Oh,
because they want to
jeez.
prove that it's not real.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's why I think too it's important. I know people have the gift, but also it's important to learn about the ethics of being a medium,
Yeah.
Yes.
right? And
Yes.
know, and it's really, really unfortunate we have mediums out there that say they're mediums,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and it's, but
Uh,
as long as we are doing what we need to do ethically, and that we can, know the red flags, that we know, we have those disclaimers, we're able to get the supports for ourselves, but also for the client as well, should anything come up. We are doing it in a way that's very respectful,
Hmm.
and that's healing. And I have actually had, it is beautiful because I just remember this one woman. I did a connection for her dad, and was carrying the grief of the loss of her father because they didn't have a good relationship,
okay.
and he passed. They never had any closure, so she had carried for years and years and years this shame and guilt about their relationship.
Yeah.
Her
Oh.
father came through and gave her such validations that, um, things that she needed to hear, it her whole disposition shifted. Like, she was lighter, she was happier, she was smiling, and actually she contacted me afterwards and she said, "Thank you. That was the best gift I could have gotten."
Hmm.
So, as mediums, we have to remember we've got a beautiful job, and we can
Oh,
do a lot of
absolutely. And we also, I think, got to think, because on the other side, if these people aren't finding some kind of source within themselves to heal. I know I have a friend who, she's since passed, but same thing, like her sister, and took her life when she was a teenager, and then, or actually, sorry, their dad passed away, and her sister had gotten a fight with her dad the night before,
That's
and
horrible.
he passed away suddenly. So her sister, about a year later, took her life, and it kind of left this poor girl trying to navigate life. And like, she was never, when she finally did get a reading, it was almost a little too late. Like, she got it, she got a little bit of happiness, but with that, but it just wasn't enough because she didn't look after her mental health enough. Just that she just
Um,
thought, like, she would lose a stone on her ring and they'd be gone. Like, to her, right? Like, oh, well, I lost this. So now they're never going to talk to me. And then, like, well, if they are here, why aren't they helping me with my life? Because, she just,
exactly.
went into some really bad places. And, you know, we can't do that. We can't make your life, we can't just by giving you a reading, we can't make your life better. So like people
Wow.
need to sort of be active and I think be in
Yes.
a
Yes.
spot to actually accept that part of it.
Exactly. Exactly, Kim. For sure.
Yeah, it's so sad.
Jill, I have a question.
Hmm.
So you wrote a book.
I actually have a story in a book.
Okay. Okay. Do you have time to talk a little bit about the book?
Yeah, actually, I have the book here too. It's called The Last Breath. It's about, there's 40, actually, I think there's about 40 stories in there from
Oh.
mediums whom actually have had experience with connecting with their loved ones or just having signs, things that have come up for them in their journey as a medium and what validated their, because sometimes, like, when you start this journey as a medium, is like, is this really, am I really getting something? Is this true?
I
Or
can't
like,
do this. What?
what's happening? I don't know. Am I going crazy?
Yeah. What is in my head? Why? I
So
never
these are
said that. Why would that
stories.
happen?
Yeah, so these are stories that the mediums have written about their experiences. And then I've had my story in there about such validation that life goes on and when we
Oh.
leave this world. It's a beautiful, and it's about my mom when she crossed over. And I have to say, when I think about it, I get this wonderful warm feeling of because I just remember her transitioning and it was just beautiful. So
Oh.
yeah, so my story's in there as well. So yes.
Do you have the book? Can
Okay.
you
So
show us the book
Yeah,
so
I'll go
people
get
yeah.
it.
can?
Yeah.
Hold
Yeah,
on.
I am going
absolutely.
to link up Jill's book at the bottom for anybody who's interested in purchasing it, having a read, or it's on Amazon and stuff, right?
Yes, it's on
Yeah.
Amazon. Can you see it?
Oh, it's so pretty.
It's called The Last Breath.
Oh, I love that cover.
Yeah. Yeah, it's beautiful. It's a beautiful book. It's very thick. Lots of stories in it. And yeah, it's actually really, really uplifting and very validating. And it's
Mhm.
just I'm just very pleased with it and very happy about my story being in there as well. Mine, I'm on chapter 31. I
Okay.
think I'm 31, 30 or 31, something like that.
Okay.
We'll look
So
again. But
why did you write the book? What inspired you to do it?
well, I had an opportunity to do it. First of
Oh,
all,
I love it.
I had an opportunity, and the thing is too with the crossing of my mom. Um, it was just so empowering and powerful, and that all the detail of the experience has stayed with me.
Wow.
And then when we had this opportunity, this woman, Allison, had said, "Hey," and she knew a bunch of us. I mean, you got write your story, and I went, "Yes." And honestly, I didn't know how. I sat down with with a pen and paper, and I just wrote and wrote and wrote and wrote and wrote. And wrote. It came natural. It just boop 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 boop, and I was like,
Automatic writing. Oh.
automatically, and it just came through, and I was like, "Wow." And then I read it over, and it's just exactly what happened. And actually, when I was writing it, I was just reliving the whole experience, and was so validated as my sister had the same experience. And it's,
Oh, that's beautiful. I didn't know that.
yeah,
My
it was
God.
just, yeah, it was so exciting. So, yeah, so get the book. I hope you enjoy it if you do.
Yes. Oh my
Hmm.
God. Yes.
Yeah.
And we're gonna link up. You have a, a counseling that you do your business.
Yes, actually, it's with Mind 360. It's
Okay.
called Mind 360 in St. Albert.
Okay.
And I also have, there's another one. I'm a Synergy Mental Health. So I'm with the
Okay.
two clinics.
And
Mhm.
do you do virtual as well?
I do virtual as well.
Okay.
Yes. So I can be
Um.
reached there. Yeah, I can send you
Okay.
those links to Kim.
Yeah, absolutely. Please do that, and we'll put
Yeah.
them on the bottom,
Yeah. For
so people
sure.
can
For
reach out to
sure.
you,
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
or if they
And
have
then,
absolutely.
questions about it.
sure. And the other thing too, I mean, spiritual counseling,
Yeah.
Hmm.
right? I
Yep.
mean, a lot of
Absolutely.
people are looking for that direction as well.
Yep. Yeah.
More than ever, I find lately, more than ever.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Life
Yeah,
just throws
for
you
sure.
down some pretty
Yeah, it is.
nasty
Yes,
places,
yes.
but it seems like those are the places we have to hit before we can hit to this. So it's like,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah, exactly. And I
you know,
and it there's to me there's awakening right now.
oh,
Spiritual
Yes,
absolutely.
awakening.
absolutely.
I love
Mhm.
it.
Definitely.
It's
Yeah.
Yeah.
so,
It's very
you know,
honestly.
there's less people, or I think people are starting to realize that some of these conspiracy things really kind of are, well,
Yeah.
not really conspiracy.
Yes. Yep.
Like there are
100%.
things, right? And
Yeah.
because we're being allowed, where people are starting to just think and, know that there's more out there than, what you see on your, what you see, what you can touch. There's more
Yes.
there. And
Exactly.
to get
Exactly.
that power is amazing. So,
It is. It is. Yeah. It's a beautiful gift.
well, thank you so much, Jill. I very much appreciate you coming and joining us today and
Yeah.
talking about, mental health and grief with, mediumship and this kind of stuff. Like I said, we did talk about scams and being addicted to readings and things like that. So, these are absolutely what you were talking about. People get
Exactly.
to, you know, kind of hook their card up to it and, this
Mhm.
keep coming back every week, right?
Yeah.
We've had that.
Exactly.
Mhm. Yeah.
Exactly.
I can't
Yes.
believe it's already I felt like that was 5 minutes.
Me
Like,
too.
I'm like, "That's not enough time." It's okay. We'll have you back on in the future.
Oh, for sure.
Absolutely.
Yay.
Thank you very much for inviting me. I
Oh,
appreciate it.
thank you. You have an
Okay.
amazing day, and we will definitely send me that information. We're
Yes.
going to get it
I
linked up
will.
to
Yes.
the top, and I encourage anybody who needs to talk to someone or wants to investigate any of this stuff. Please reach out to
Mhm.
Jill. And like I said, I know her very well, and she's very easy to talk to. So I,
And very
I
lovely. She like, look,
she is very lovely.
like
She's like us.
Thank you guys.
Bye, Jill.
See you. Bye-bye.
Thanks,
Bye-bye.
Jill. Take care.
Oh my gosh.
Hi.
That was awesome. That was
Well, that's
awesome, and
good.
I hate that I felt like that was only 5 minutes. That's okay. She'll be
It
back.
does go fast. Hey.
She'll be back. She'll be back. Oh my god. I don't even know what to unpack from that.
Yeah,
Anyway.
it's like I said, it's
Oh,
so
amazing.
important. It is absolutely so important. Like you can only give people the tools, whether you
Yes.
are a reader, whether
Yep.
you, whatever kind of readings you do.
Yep.
And, even with all these different, you know, Mercury retrograde or
Mhm.
whatever, like you're trying to kind of navigate that as in life, day-to-day
Yep.
life. And there's just so many people who don't see a way out, so many people who don't see anything, like I said, beyond, you know, your four walls or whatever. And if people told you this has to be true. Um,
Mhm.
so, a lot of times there are people who don't really believe in what you're doing. But
Absolutely.
I I absolutely think it's the most beautiful thing that you can do, is to be able to
Oh,
give
it
people
is.
hope, give people that power, like empower them to
Yeah.
be,
Yep.
and not
Yep.
wait. It's like people who are just, always stuck into this thing. And then it's like, same thing like with work. Okay, well, I can retire at 65 or, I can retire at 70.
Mhm.
Well, is that when you start living?
Yeah, exactly,
Like, why
right?
would you wait to start
Exactly.
living? Right. So you got to start
Mhm.
living now
Yep.
and, see what's actually keeping you going now. 'Cause it's
She
just,
was very inspiring. She was very inspiring. I think a lot of people are going to connect with her.
yeah, I hope so.
I think so. I
Like I
think
said,
so.
she's got that. She does teach through the Spiritualist Church of Canada. She does do the counseling part
Which
for
I
the
will also
ministers,
link at the bottom. I'll link the
the
church at the
Spiritualist Church of
bottom so
Canada.
everybody yeah, so everybody can see.
Uh,
Yep.
yeah, so she's good at that. And it's funny because when I took those courses actually with her, and one of the biggest things for becoming a minister in the counseling
Yeah.
portion of it, when they talk about counseling and stuff like that, it's like, don't counsel. Send people and
Wow.
resources, right?
Don't.
Because it's not, we don't have that, we don't have the capability. We don't have, and like insurance and things like that to
Mm. Mhm, mhm.
if something happens, like it can just be such a fragile thing.
Yeah,
The slightest thing can set somebody off. But, um, you know, she can she can help with those things, right? And if you
yes.
have feeling like you're having some trouble with, your keeping your mood up. But I think we can put also some links on here for people who, maybe
We will.
if you are considering taking your life, or
Yep,
if
we
you
will.
need to
Mhm.
have, like, maybe within some in Canada, whether like a shelter, or things like that, like DV shelter, things like that, just so people know that there's those options
Absolutely,
for them.
100%. 100%, 100. We're gonna link all of that, and you know what? And if you know what, and we link it, and it's not your cup of tea, and you're looking for something else, just shoot us an email. Shoot us an email, and
Yeah,
Kim and I will get back to you, right? And
yeah.
we'll answer you privately. I mean, we've said that in a few of the episodes already, but it's true, and it will always remain true, right?
And again, this is definitely part of what we want for this podcast, is to give you true, honest um,
Yep.
information so that
Mm-hmm.
you can make better decisions for yourself.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because
Mm-hmm.
life is way too short to be trying to fumble through it, and,
Feeling
not
alone.
being able
You
to
don't want
pick
to feel
yourself
alone.
up. Absolutely.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I actually one of the questions that that we got, because we got a whole bunch of questions already. It's not even launched. The podcast has not even launched, but people, and so I picked one because there was two, but I picked
Okay.
one because I thought it felt really good with this. But oh, I forgot the tea thing again.
Oh, are you
Okay.
drinking
All
tea?
right. I did. Okay. Okay. We're gonna get better at
Well, we
that.
had a
We
guest. We
swear.
had a little bit of excitement.
Yeah, I was very excited to ask him. Anyway, okay. So, today I'm just drinking the Higgins and Burke Berry Vines tea because I love it, and I just felt like having something super fruity, and it is also one of my favorite teas. It's lemongrass, hibiscus, rose hip. I put a little honey in it. It's just like, and it's just amazing. And that's what I'm drinking, and I absolutely adore it. And you can get that one anywhere, like any grocery store, at least in Ontario. But I also see it on Amazon everywhere. So
Yeah.
very good. Anyway,
Yep. It's
yeah,
funny how we're far apart, and, like, you assume, but, like, you'll say some stores and stuff, like actual brand name
that
stores, and I've never heard of them. You know?
seriously, when I went to visit my brother in BC, I don't know what I was looking for, and he's like, "We don't carry that here in this province." I was like, "What? How do you not carry that? It's everywhere in
We
Ontario."
don't need it.
And that's when I learned. Yeah, that's when I learned. Anyway, it was amazing. It was amazing. But okay, so the question, which I actually it was hard because there's two that similar, so I'll just
Oh.
ask the next one in another. Anyway, so this is from Kathy in California from TikTok. She's asking, my mother passed away about a year and a half ago, but I still haven't dreamt of her. Why is that? Does she have nothing to say to me? I
Oh,
love
well,
that
sorry.
question
Yeah. No, sorry for your loss.
because, yeah. Do you want to know why I love that? Because when people do pass away, one of the first things people really want is them to connect in
Mhm.
dreams. And
Yep.
sometimes it doesn't happen right away. So when I read that, I was like, I think Kim's going to have a good answer to that one.
Well, just because you're not connecting with her in a dream doesn't mean that she hasn't been trying to connect with you. Uh,
Yes.
you have to allow yourself to be open to this, and a lot of them will, actually be trying to get your attention, whether they're flickering lights is a big one. If
Yes.
you got something that every
Birds.
time you put it up, it falls down, puts it up, falls down. If things like that are happening, you're like, what happened here? Um, you know, or every time maybe you see a feather laying on the ground, that these are ways that they connect with you. Some people find dimes, so
Mhm.
just because you're not dreaming of her doesn't mean she's not uh trying to connect with you. She is just, a lot of times, they're also learning. So it depends on what her belief was. So they don't just
Oh,
automatically
yeah.
come in. Like, they're usually surprised, but still, a lot of times when they are have crossed over, it takes them a little bit to get into this again. Um, the y- it basically, from what I understand, and I'm going to kind of say a story that might help with it. I had
Awesome.
asked a trans medium a few years ago about the murdered Indigenous women, missing and murdered
Right.
Indigenous women. And I asked, what happens when they cross over? Right? Because, like, you can only imagine how horrible these things
Mhm.
were. And he said that through the trance mediumship, he actually
Yep.
said, well, when they come over, they don't, it's kind of like their memories are kind of suppressed. So they don't know, they won't know how they crossed over. And then they'll still, like, they're still greeted by all their loved ones. It's still,
Okay.
everybody will still be there. And they won't tell them about how they crossed, or it won't be, they won't, I guess, tell them until they're in a
Mm.
part where when they tell them, they're just like, oh, just like saying, oh, it's sunny today, so that it's not something that's going to
Okay.
affect them. So
Right.
they actually, they take care of them until it's something that's not going to be um, hard or difficult for them,
Right.
you know?
Wow.
So I think, there's a little bit depending on how she crossed and things like that. And I'm not saying, like, please no, people can come across pretty much immediately or have come across immediately after they passed away,
Mhm.
but don't ever think that the length of time or whatever has any, has is that she doesn't have anything to say to you, or doesn't want to be around you, because she absolutely is with you 100% all the time, and she's there to support you. It's just getting into that part where you kind of got to step out of your grieving self and kind of open yourself up to the things that you see and hear. You might start, if you start paying more attention, you might start noticing, like, numbers repeating, or you'll suddenly, you'll be driving down the road and you all of a sudden there's like a song that reminds you of her, or, you'll come across something, find something that reminds you of her. So those are all ways that they're connecting with you. It doesn't have to just be in dreams. It, you just need to be open to knowing
Right.
that this is what's happening and how they connect.
Mhm. No, I love that. I absolutely love that. And you know what? I mean, hey, scientifically, we always dream. We always dream, but we don't remember it.
Mhm.
So,
Oh,
Kathy,
yeah, I
how do you
don't.
know that, yeah. How do you know that you haven't dreamt about it? You just maybe don't remember it, right? So, I mean, there's lots of ways you can try to remember, dreams, get more into lucid dreaming. Any of those techniques, something like that might work if you really, really, want to see her. And you know what? I mean, I don't know if you have, but, meditating, praying, or ask her. If you haven't asked her, why don't you ask
Absolutely.
her?
That's what I was
Right?
gonna say. Biggest thing is say, "Hey, mom, I miss you. I would really like to have you come to me when you are able,"
Yeah.
or, maybe, maybe you need to actually tell her, because a lot of times they need permission to do this,
Oh,
to, uh a lot of times they want permission, so
huge.
they're not just kind of moving in on you, so you gotta
Okay.
ask. Like, if you want help from somebody in spirit, you need to ask them. It's your
Yeah.
job to learn your lessons and do your thing here. So they're not gonna sit
Yes.
there and try to make everything perfect. You need
Mhm.
to you need to actually ask
Oh,
them, and you need to be part of this, and you can't expect everything to just be done for you. So there is work,
absolutely.
and you need to really work on the most important thing, and that's trust. Trust in spirit. Don't say, "Oh, she just doesn't have anything to say to me," or, "She just doesn't wanna talk
Yes.
to me." Because then you're saying, like, you're just kinda pushing it aside and making that your, like, self-fulfilling prophecy, right? "My mom's not here, she's not coming." So, "You know what, mom? I would really love to see you, I miss you." And then maybe, sit down, do some meditation and say, "Mom, if you're around, can you show me something, or can you show me a
Yes.
sign?" And you can ask for the most random things. And then you set it
Mhm.
aside, and what I do is I'll write it down, because sometimes then I'll forget,
Oh,
and then, just like, but so if you write it down, and then when you see something, you could say, "Oh gosh, I asked for this." Like, if you wanna ask a question, say, "Well, if it's this, and then show me this," you know?
oh, I
So
love
you
that.
can yeah, so you can communicate with them. And this is we were talking about on one of the earlier episodes, it's not just a medium. Like if this is someone, there is no death does not, the physical death of your body does not stop love. Love is forever there. So
No.
there's forever connection. And
Mhm.
when this is someone that you love, have that heart connection with, and it doesn't matter if you were fighting or not, when, what not in a
Yeah.
good position, didn't have a chance to say goodbye, like none of that matters. They're there, they
No.
love you, and they only want to do everything they can to help you. And especially if there was a strained relationship, they will, a lot of times try to help you because now this is their chance because they can actually be there for you. They can actually do stuff. Where
Yeah.
here, when they were
Yes.
here, they had, either mental health issues or, they didn't have self-esteem. They didn't trust themselves. They didn't have these things that they are no longer like taken over by because it all that stuff has disappeared. These emotions, these feelings, all this stuff is
Mhm.
just here. Like
Yeah.
that's not what really is when you've crossed over. All that stuff goes away. You don't have that ego. You don't have that jealousy. You don't have that anger.
Yeah.
You don't have that feeling of
Yep.
lack of
Yep.
anything.
No, 100%. It's all love, it's light, it's very, high vibrational energies. There's none of that. There's nothing intense, heavy after this. There isn't.
No. And, I have never experienced someone angry at someone after they've crossed over. No matter
Yes, you
how they
mentioned.
crossed
Mhm.
over, whatever happened, I have never myself experienced someone who is angry. So,
Mhm.
there is actually one thing that I was asked the other day myself was
Okay.
someone that I know has, someone that that they deal with on a regular basis. And this person lost, their brother, who was quite a bit older than them, when they were very
Okay.
young, like 4 years old. And everybody keeps saying, "Oh, well, you'll see him again someday. You'll see him again someday." And apparently he didn't like that,
Okay.
because he felt that that was has him has his brother, like, waiting around and, like, in a sad spot, right? Because he just never really
Okay.
felt that,
Yeah.
and he had those kind of emotions. And, so I said, "Well, you can tell him that he's not just waiting around for that, like, he's there to help you. He's there,
Right.
he's there to help them and wants to see them, and it's a good thing." And, they're
Mhm.
guiding, and I could feel that this brother had actually guided him through many things in his life, you
Oh,
know? But he
wow.
was just so young when he passed, and then, a lot of times when that happens, no matter how people pass, when there's kids, a lot of times the parents will kind of, um, like, suddenly make sibling, like, like they can't do wrong, they can't, they're
Okay.
perfect,
Right.
and they don't have
Right.
as much time and attention to the younger or the other children, wherever they fall in birth order, or, they go hyper protective because they don't
Yeah.
wanna lose another child, right? So,
Yeah. Mhm.
it's it's really hard when you're young and you don't even know, like, my goodness, just, even if you don't have these kind of losses, growing up, going through all this stuff is challenging, right? But when you have other people's mental health and, these, circumstances that are, just nobody should have to deal with, but unfortunately, it's the way it
Mhm.
is,
It
they
is, yeah.
just really struggle, right? And so I think it's great when people can ask questions and know, that, there is something else. There is something you can do. It's not it's not a negative thing. And actually, maybe
Right.
one episode, when we do this, I do have that actual time when I was actually had spirit told me about death and what happens when we die, and it was pretty,
That's one of the
profound.
things.
Yeah.
Yes, that's one of I'm excited for all of it, but that's one of, like, my top ones that I was excited for, or I am excited for. Yeah, and then you share that story. Oh,
I
that's so
will.
exciting. That is
It's
so
one of
exciting.
my
Oh my
favorite stories. It
gosh.
was one of the most, profound things that I've ever encountered. I cried all the way home. So
Ugh,
it was pretty profound. So
that's gonna be a really, really good episode, I'm telling you, I'm very, very excited for that. I'm very excited for that one. But yeah. All right. Well, I mean, I'm guessing this is it for this one, right? This is I think we're
yeah.
wrapping this one up pretty nicely here. Um the theme for the next one, Kim, what is it? Do you know what it is?
Well, we're going to actually talk about being a good sitter.
Yes,
So
actually
for
yes.
when you come get a reading.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're going
Yeah.
to talk about
Which
being a good sitter and what that means and
etiquette and
what
yeah.
yeah. Yeah, because
Yeah.
that's so very important. If you're going to get a quality reading, you need to
Yes. Mhm.
be in a position cuz yeah, we'll talk more about it, but, you know, if you're getting a reading and you're like, "No, no, no, no," because you're in a bad mood or you don't wanna let them
Oh.
on to information, like I myself
Mhm.
have had readings in the past before
Oh.
I did any of this, and I would make sure that I
Mhm.
was wearing no jewelry or no evidence whether I was married or
Yep.
not or, like, tried to,
Same.
like, "Oh, I don't
Same.
want them to know all this stuff," right? So that's kinda putting
Mhm.
you into, like, a very skeptical, position, and sometimes that just doesn't allow for an open,
Yeah.
exchange because it's all energy. And when you're
That's
giving this
right.
reading, and if someone's putting up a wall, then not a lot's gonna get past that wall.
Mhm. Mhm. I've had a couple of, people book readings with me and then give me the same thing. No, that didn't happen. No, that's not what's going on. And I was like, okay, okay. And then 9 times out of 10, I kid you not, I get messages a week or 2 weeks later, a month later. Hey, that reading that you said, yeah, no, that definitely did happen. No, I just remembered. But you're right. They come off defensive or they're in a
Yeah.
bad mood
Yeah.
and they're
Yeah.
completely just trying to block everything. And I'm like, I don't know what you want from me then,
And there
But
is
anyway,
there
we
is
won't put
sitter amnesia, right? We've done
Yes.
live evening with spirits in person, and we're saying stuff and nobody can take it. And as mediums, we're thinking, okay, well, I know this person's here. I'm sorry, like I can't
Yeah.
change it. And then we'll just
Yes.
move on. And then at break, they'll come up to us and say, "Hey, so yeah, that was this person,"
That's
and
good.
have like the
Yeah.
whole situation.
Oh. Oh my god. I see
So
now.
it
See, I'm so
happens.
excited for that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we'll talk about, you know, being a good sitter and so that you can
That's
get
right.
the best readings that you can.
Absolutely, absolutely. And that is the next episode. So honestly, everybody,
Mhm.
thank you so much for joining us. And I mean, I hope, Jill inspired you all. I hope you check out everything. Everything will be linked below for her, all her links, all of it, her book. I'm going to link the Spiritualist Church as well because we brought that up a few times. So I'm going to make sure it's linked actually on this episode for sure so that people can just check it out and have a look. And yeah, God, we appreciate you guys, and I just hope that people really learned a lot from Jill today
Yeah,
because
me
I
too.
did.
And please, if you have any feelings of that you don't want to be here anymore and any of those things, please reach out. Reach out and get some help. And we're
Yeah.
gonna have some links. Reach out to someone like Jill, reach out to someone who can help you because you're very important. And I can guarantee you that you are enough. You are just
Mhm.
getting too much in your head and
That's right.
you're lying to yourself because as I will say many, many times, you're the meanest person you'll ever meet. So,
Oof.
um,
Oof.
well, to yourself,
Worst
right? Like,
critic.
who else is meaner to you? Would you ever talk to your friends like
Oof.
you talk to you or yourself? Right? No.
That's right.
So,
That's what I say to people. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
absolutely.
Well, thank you
Oh,
everybody for joining us. We hope you had an amazing and fun time just like we did today, and we will see
mhm.
you in the next episode.
Hey,
Bye.
thank you.